The Seven Dials Mystery, Chapter 3. 12 o'clock, Socks said sadly. But the prank didn't go as they planned. The alarm clocks, however, had done their job. They had gone off with a power and energy that couldn't have been better. The noise made Ronnie Devereaux jump out of bed, thinking that the end of the world had arrived. If the noise was that loud in the next room, how loud must it have been right next to the clocks? Ronnie went into the hallway and put his ear to the door. He expected to hear angry words. He was very sure he would hear them. But he heard nothing at all. He heard the clocks ticking, and they were very loud, annoying, and irritating. Soon, another one started ringing with a loud, rough noise that would have bothered even a deaf person. There was no question. The clocks had done their job perfectly. They were as good as, or even better, than Mr. Murgatroyd said they would be. But it seemed that Gerald Wade was an even heavier sleeper than the clocks were loud. The group felt discouraged about it. "The guy isn't human," Jimmy Thesiger complained. "He probably thought he heard the phone far away and just rolled over and went back to sleep." Helen, or maybe Nancy, suggested. "I think it's very unusual," Rupert Bateman said seriously. "He should see a doctor about it." "Maybe he has a disease in his ears," Bill said hopefully. "Well, if you ask me," Socks said, "I think he's just playing a trick on us. Of course the clocks woke him up, but he's going to win by pretending that he didn't hear anything." Everyone looked at Socks with respect and admiration. "That's a good idea," Bill said.
"He's clever, that's what it is," Socks said. "You'll see, he'll be extra late for breakfast this morning just to prove it." The clock now showed a few minutes after 12, so most people agreed that Socks' idea was correct. Only Ronnie Devereaux disagreed. "You're forgetting something," he said. "I was outside the door when the first clock went off. Whatever Jerry decided to do later, the first one must have surprised him. He would have shouted something. Where did you put it, Pongo?" "On the small table right next to his ear," Mr. Bateman said. "That was smart of you, Pongo," said Ronnie. "Now tell me," he said to Bill, "if a really big bell started ringing right next to your ear at 6:30 in the morning, what would you say?" "Oh, Lord," Bill said, "I would say—" He stopped talking. "Of course you would," Ronnie said. "So would I. So would anyone. A person's natural reaction would come out. But it didn't. So I believe Pongo is right, as usual, and that Jerry has a strange ear disease." "It's now 20 past 12, one of the other girls said sadly. "I think that's too much, isn't it, Jimmy?" said slowly. "A joke is a joke, but this is going too far. It's a little unfair to the Coots." Bill looked at him. "What are you talking about?" "Well," said Jimmy, "somehow it's not like old Jerry." He found it hard to explain what he meant. He didn't want to say too much. He saw Ronnie looking at him. Ronnie was suddenly very interested. At that moment, Treadwell came into the room and looked around unsurely. "I thought Mr. Bateman was here," he explained, sounding sorry. "He just went out the window," Ronnie said. "Can I help you?" Treadwell's eyes moved from Ronnie to Jimmy and back. As if they were chosen, the two young men followed him out of the room. Treadwell carefully closed the dining room door. "What's wrong?" Ronnie asked. "Since Mr. Wade has not come down yet, sir, I decided to send Williams up to his room." "Yes?"
"Williams just ran downstairs looking very worried, sir." Treadwell paused, preparing to give the bad news. "I am afraid, sir, that the poor young man may have died in his sleep." Jimmy and Ronnie stared at him. "That's crazy," Ronnie finally shouted. It's not possible. Jerry—" His face showed he was upset. I'll run up and see. That stupid Williams might have made a mistake." Treadwell put out his hand to stop them. With a strange, calm feeling, Jimmy realized that the butler was in complete control of the situation. "No, sir, Williams did not make a mistake. I have already called for Dr. Cartwright. I have also locked the door and will now go tell Sir Oswald what has happened. I must find Mr. Bateman now." Treadwell left quickly. Ronnie stood still as if he were in a daze. "Jerry," he mumbled to himself. Jimmy took his friend's arm and guided him out through a side door to a quiet part of the terrace. He pushed him down onto a seat. "Relax, old friend," he said kindly. "You'll feel better in a minute." But Jimmy looked at him with some surprise. He didn't know that Ronnie was such a good friend of Jerry Wade's. Poor Jerry, he looked so healthy. Ronnie nodded. "The clock thing seems bad now. It's strange how funny things and sad things can happen at the same time." He was just talking to give Ronnie a moment to feel better. Ronnie moved around nervously. "I wish the doctor would arrive. I want to know—" "Know what?" "What he died from." Jimmy pressed his lips together. "His heart?" Jimmy guessed. Ronnie laughed a short, mean laugh.
"Hey, Ronnie," said Jimmy. "Yes?" Jimmy found it hard to continue talking. "You don't think someone hit him on the head, do you? Because Treadwell locked the door and all that," he said. Jimmy felt his words deserved an answer, but Ronnie kept staring ahead. Jimmy shook his head and became quiet. He thought there was nothing to do but wait, so he did. Treadwell interrupted them. "The doctor would like to see you both in the library." Ronnie jumped up and Jimmy went with him. Dr. Cartwright was a thin, energetic young man with a smart face. He nodded hello to them. Pongo, who looked very serious with his glasses on, introduced everyone. "I hear you were a good friend of Mr. Wade's," the doctor said to Ronnie. "His best friend." "Okay, well, this seems clear enough. It's sad, though. He looked like a healthy young man. Do you know if he smoked anything to help him sleep?" "To help him sleep?" Ronnie's scared. "He always slept very well." "Did you ever hear him say he couldn't sleep?" "Never." "The facts are simple, but there will still have to be an official investigation, I'm afraid." "How did he die?" "I'm pretty sure he died from an overdose of chloral. The medicine was right by his bed, with a bottle and a glass. It's a very sad thing." Jimmy felt his friend Ronnie wanted to ask a question, but couldn't, so Jimmy asked it for him. "Was there any foul play?" The doctor looked at him closely. "Why do you ask? Do you have a reason to suspect it?"
Jimmy looked at Ronnie. If Ronnie knew anything, he needed to say it now. But surprisingly, Ronnie shook his head. "No reason at all," he said clearly. "And what about suicide?" the doctor asked. "Certainly not," Ronnie said strongly. The doctor didn't seem as convinced. "No problems that you know of? Money problems? A woman?" Again, Ronnie shook his head. "Now, about his family, we have to tell them. He has a sister, a half-sister. She lives at Dean Priory, about 20 miles away. When he wasn't in London, Jerry lived with her." "Okay," said the doctor. "She must be told." "I'll go," Ronnie said. "It's a terrible job, but someone has to do it." He looked at Jimmy. "You know her, right?" "A little. I've danced with her a few times." "Then let's go in your car. Do you mind? I can't do this by myself." "That's fine," Jimmy said, to make him feel better. "I was going to suggest it. I'll go and start the car." He was happy to have a task. Ronnie's behavior confused him. What did Ronnie know or think, and why didn't he tell the doctor his suspicions, if he had any? Soon, the two friends were driving fast in Jimmy's car. They didn't care about speed limits. "Jimmy," Ronnie said finally, "I guess you're my best friend now." "So?" Jimmy said in a rough voice. "There's something I want to tell you, something you should know." "About Jerry Wade?" "Yes, about Jerry Wade."
Jimmy waited. "Well," he finally asked. "I don't know if I should tell you," Ronnie said. "Why not?" "I made a kind of promise." "Oh, then maybe you shouldn't." They were quiet after that. "And yet, I want to tell you. You see, Jimmy, you are smarter than me." "That's easy to be," Jimmy said, not being nice. "No, I can't," Ronnie said suddenly. "Okay," said Jimmy, "whatever you want." After a long, quiet time, Ronnie asked, "What is she like?" "Who?" "This girl, Jerry's sister." Jimmy was quiet for a few minutes. Then, in a changed voice, he said, "She's good. In fact, she's great. Jerry loved her very much, I know. He often talked about her. She loved Jerry very much, too. It's going to be very hard for her. Yes, a terrible job." They were quiet until they arrived at Dean Priory. The maid told them that Miss Lorraine was in the garden. She asked if they wanted to see Mrs. Coker instead. Jimmy said firmly that they did not want to see Mrs. Coker. "Who is Mrs. Coker?" Ronnie asked, as they went to the garden, which was a bit messy. "The old lady who lives with Lorraine." They walked onto a paved path. At the end of it was a girl with 2 black dogs. She was small, very fair, and wore old, worn-out clothes. She was not the kind of girl Ronnie expected to see. She was not Jimmy's usual type. She held one dog by its collar and walked down the path to meet them. "Hello," she said. "Don't mind Elizabeth. She just had some puppies and she's very suspicious." She was very natural. As she looked up and smiled, her cheeks turned a deeper pink. Her eyes were a very dark blue, like cornflowers. Suddenly, her eyes opened wide. Was it because she was scared? Did she already know what had happened? Jimmy quickly began to speak. "This is Ronnie Devereaux, Miss Wade. I'm sure you've heard Jerry talk about him." "Oh, yes." She gave him a lovely, warm, welcoming smile. "You've both been staying at Chimney's, right? Why didn't you bring Jerry with you?" "We, couldn't," said Ronnie, and then he stopped. Again, Jimmy saw a look of fear quickly appear in her eyes. "Miss Wade, I'm afraid, we have bad news for you." She was ready for the news in a second. "Jerry?" "Yes, Jerry. He's—" She stopped her foot suddenly with strong emotion. "Oh, tell me, tell me." She suddenly turned to Ronnie. "You'll tell me." Jimmy felt a sudden jealousy. In that moment, he finally understood something he hadn't wanted to admit to himself. He knew why Helen and Nancy and Socks were just girls to him and nothing more. He only half heard Ronnie's voice, which was brave, as he said, "Yes, Miss Wade, I'll tell you. Jerry is dead." She was very brave. She gasped and stepped back, but in a minute or two, she was asking many questions. How? When? Ronnie answered her as gently as he could. "A sleeping medicine? Jerry?" It was clear from her voice that she could not believe it. Jimmy looked at her. It was almost a look of warning. He suddenly felt that Lorraine, because she was innocent, might say too much. He then explained as gently as possible that there needed to be an official investigation. She shivered. She said no to their offer to take her back to Chimney's with them. She said she would come over later in her own small car. "But I want to be alone for a little while first," she said sadly. "I know," said Ronnie. "That's fine," said Jimmy. They looked at her, feeling awkward and helpless. "Thank you both so much for coming." They drove back in silence, and there was a feeling of tension between them. "My God, that girl is brave," Ronnie said once. Jimmy agreed. "Jerry was my friend," said Ronnie. "It's my job to watch out for her." "Oh, of course, yes." When Jimmy returned to Chimney's, a crying Lady Coote stopped him. "That poor boy," she kept saying, "that poor boy." Jimmy said all the right things he could think of. Lady Coote talked a lot about the deaths of her different friends. Jimmy listened and pretended to care, and finally managed to get away without being rude. He ran up the stairs. Ronnie was just coming out of Gerald Wade's room. He seemed surprised to see Jimmy. "I went in to see him," he said. "Are you going in?" "I don't think so," Jimmy said, who was a healthy young man and didn't like to be reminded of death. "I think all his friends should go in." "Oh, you do?" said Jimmy. He thought to himself that Ronnie was acting very strange about everything. "Yes, it's a way to show respect." Jimmy sighed, but he agreed. "Oh, all right," he said, and he went into the room, preparing himself. There were white flowers on the bed. The room had been cleaned and put in order. Jimmy took one quick, nervous look at the still, white face. Was that really Jerry Wade, who was so happy and had pink cheeks? That quiet, peaceful body? Jimmy shivered. As he turned to leave, his eyes quickly looked at the fireplace shelf, and he stopped, surprised. The alarm clocks had been put in a neat row. He left the room quickly. Ronnie was waiting for him. "He looks very peaceful. Such bad luck for him," Jimmy said softly. Then he said, "Hey, Ronnie, who put all those clocks in a row like that?" "How would I know? One of the workers, I guess." "The strange thing is," Jimmy said, "there are 7 of them, not 8. One is missing. Did you notice that?" Ronnie made a sound that Jimmy couldn't hear. 7 instead of 8, Jimmy said, frowning. "I wonder why."